Pugilism Company. Read BBS. BBS. Blackbird Sugar. Sometimes it's right to be wrong. Sometimes it's right to be wrong. When you end up being wrong, that was actually right. That said, I have doubts. Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter happens next. I have some lingering doubts, man. I'm not trying to speak it into existence at all, but I'm also not convinced by the recent wave of videos and podcasts and articles speaking positively, or with the Porters themselves speaking boastfully or boldly, I should say, just in terms of, hey, we want it next. Hey, we've already talked to the people that need to know. The Porters want this fight conditionally. Make no mistake about it. They want it conditionally. Pay-per-view in Dallas, Cowboy Stadium. Yeah, abso-fucking-lutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. They'll jump on that shit. I don't doubt it. Who wouldn't? But here's the thing. 400K-ish, reportedly. Nearly 50K in attendance for Mikey versus Errol Spence. Mikey Garcia, pound for pounder, who's not only fought in Texas, but fought in Dallas previously. Oh, by the way, he's Mexican. Yes. Big difference, bro. Pound for pound fighter. History in Texas, history in Dallas, and he's a Mexican fighter. I mean, you can't just extrapolate that from that fight and apply it to Spence Porter headlining at Cowboy Stadium. Like Sarge told me, he was like, it'd have to be like a stacked undercard with like Tank and some other people, maybe Ortiz, all on the pay-per-view undercard. You'd have to overpay for the undercard to have that particular fight at Cowboy Stadium. But here's where I have my doubts. I believe it was the Boxing Voice. It was prior to Shawn Porter versus Danny Garcia. Kenny Porter, he had low expectations of a Spence Mikey pay-per-view back then. He even said Garcia was handicapped coming into the fight, which kind of played out. I mean, he was at least right about that. But he estimated like 75, 85,000 pay-per-view buys. And I mean, that obviously didn't play out. He also said that he was never offered a pay-per-view with Spence. And basically in a quote he said, after he fights Mikey Garcia on pay-per-view, if we're not on pay-per-view with Spence, then they got a problem because we're not taking that fight. He's basically saying, if you fight Mikey on pay-per-view, don't come back and try to fight me on regular Showtime or Fox or whatever. He even said, no way possible I watch Errol fight Mikey on pay-per-view and we come back, fight Errol on Showtime. Opening up a can of worms was the phrase that he used. I get it. And this was, again, prior to Shawn Porter, his son, defeating Danny Garcia for the vacant title that was stripped from Keith Thurman. I get that. But what's to say that his mindset has changed? They want the fight, sure, but they want it pay-per-view style, pay-per-view money. And I'm saying all that to say this. Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter is not a pay-per-view fight. It's not a Cowboy Stadium fight. If you market it well, it'll do 3 million peak viewers minimum, probably even to that 5-6 million range on Showtime or Fox. Like it's a big fight. It's just not a pay-per-view Cowboy Stadium fight, and it won't do the projected numbers for Spence Mikey. 400K ish. Yeah, Spence Porter ain't gonna do that. You have to have a dance partner. You have to have a dance partner when it's all said and done. Porter's a good, solid, respectable fighter, accomplished. It'll be a unification. But no, he's just not a pay-per-view worthy type dude. Speaking of pay-per-view worthy dudes, Keith Thurman. It's like 6 degrees of separation from Keith Thurman. Even with him having spent 2 years off, looked horrible in his return fight, he's still kind of indirectly in control. Because the whole division And I say that because the whole division wants to fight Manny Pacquiao. Everybody wants Pacquiao. Spence wants him. Thurman wants him. Danny wants him. Porter wants him. But the one guy Pacquiao never speaking about is Thurman. So once that decision is made, if Thurman wants Pacquiao or not, then all the other dominoes fall. So that's why I say Keith Thurman, he's still in control indirectly. All that said, Danny Garcia, once the Adrian Granados fight is over, like, dude's finna have to start shitting or getting off the toilet. Shit or get off the toilet. It's getting down to that point. We've learned that Danny turned down $4 million to face Crawford. Like, and this is a report Danny has never refuted. So it's getting close to nut cutting time. But I don't see Shawn Porter taking Errol Spence next. Not unless Al Heyman throws exorbitant money at him, extra money at him, and has the pay-per-view undercard so stacked that everybody has to, they have no choice but to watch it. From the home of the three-piece combos, Pugilism Company. Read BBS, Black Burp Sugar, Bachelor's in Boxing Studies. When all is said and done, there's nothing left to say or do.
Come on, little B.